We're not just doing it for ourselves. It's for door to door. It's generation to generation. We just changed the trajectory of our whole family. And it started with me and my husband. Would it have been easier for us to stay in America? Financially, yeah. Emotionally, it was really hard and challenging to move here. But we're not here in this world for an easy life. Sometimes we get confused, especially when we see what's going on in America with the Gashmias. As long as they're yearning, but you're still not here. Like, I yearn to clean my house every day. I yearn to go jogging every morning. But nothing's changed. You can yearn as much as you want. You need to take action. What's your plan? And I really think that I don't understand why aren't from Yidden being the examples and moving here. Are you worried about the government? Well, guess what? The more from people that move here, the more of an influence we will have. By the way, we asked our Rav in Baltimore if we should make Aliyah, and he said no.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Homebound To Eretz Yisrael, where we discuss the importance of making Aliyah, the importance of coming back to our home country, and the role of the Jewish people today. Today I'm here with an amazing woman, Devorah Salman, who came here 4 years ago as one of the pioneer families who started a fully elite. She came here with a number of teenagers, 2 whom already got married, and she faced struggle just like everyone else. So let's hear from Devorah how her journey first started, how it was adjusting, and how she is today. Hi, Devorah. How are you?
Thanks for having me, Tova. I'm really happy to be here. I'm very excited to be here. Actually, we did meet a few months ago, and one of the reasons why I reached back out to you is because I saw the episode with your husband interviewing you. And for me, that was so enlightening because I've only seen him in the videos with the kids, and I'm always like, where's the wife? And it's nice to know that, like, he didn't drag you to the mountaintop. Like, it was right. You. And I was like, oh, I have to reach back out to you. And now here we are. And even just the drive up here, I felt like I was re-seeing Eretz Yisrael again from this angle, this view. It's gorgeous. Thanks for having me. So about my experience, who I am, and I guess moving, I'm going to talk about that a little bit and then fast forward to the actual Aliyah with a preface by saying third time Aliyah. I'll explain why.
Wow.
So a little bit about me. I was not religious when I grew up, but I came from a home with a very strong Jewish identity and love of Eretz Yisrael. My mother's dream was always to come to Israel. She never made it here. So when I was graduating high school, I came on a trip called Sarel, Volunteers for Israel, where I volunteered in the army for 3 weeks. And this is the first time I came to Israel, and it was just, it wasn't even like I was coming home. Like, I can't explain it. I was just like, I felt at home here with my people. I didn't speak the language. Disclaimer, I still don't. We'll get to that challenge. And I loved the trip so much. A few months later, I did it again in the winter. And it was just like a very inexpensive way of coming to Israel and seeing the land. And then the third time I did the same program, I stayed for a few extra months. I couldn't leave. I didn't want to leave, but I had to go back and finish college. So I went back to America, and I actually spent a semester in Haifa University. So I got to live and experience Eretz Yisrael from a different view of who I am today and how my children view it. But I'm so glad that I had that opportunity, grateful for that opportunity to experience it, meeting Israelis, staying at their homes. The hospitality of this country is indescribable. And this is coming from a non-from point of view. You know, how much more so when you're so connected to Torah and the people in a meaningful way. I made Aliyah in 1996, and I lived on a kibbutz for 6 months. But there was no nefesh b'nefesh. It was that time, prehistoric. It was that time. And pre-phones, pre-WhatsApp, right? We had to get like the card to call on a payphone. It was really hard to manage. And I didn't really have any next steps. I didn't really have a plan. I still had a semester left of school to finish, and I thought I'd be able to do that here, but I didn't have any guidance. So I was thinking about renting an apartment with friends. In the end, I decided I'm going to go back to America and finish school and then make my way back here slowly because it was always connected. It was always like this pull to come back to this land. So I graduated college. I moved to New York City. I lived in Manhattan on the Upper West Side, and I got involved with Torah, which is how my process of becoming from happened. Of course, there were like seeds planted along the way, but that's not this podcast. That's like Stories of Hope or something. It's not for now. I want to talk about my Aliyah experience and the challenges and the thoughts that people may be having in Chutz La'aretz. So I was involved with Eshet Torah, and I was teaching in public school, and which was an experience in itself. I was teaching first grade in Harlem, living on the Upper West Side, and I started becoming religious, coming from, and I came to Israel to learn. I was learning at Iyad. I was there for a year and a half, and I was, again, loving living in the land, living in the land here, and I met my husband, who's from England, and he was learning at Or Sameach. We got married. We actually lived in Israel for 6 years in Yerushalayim. All this, and I still didn't learn the language. Wow. I've always just been like in an Anglo bubble. I learned like a few words here and there, but I just didn't integrate it. I guess I'm not good with languages. And we lived here for 6 years in Ramat Eshkol and a little bit in Rehavia. And in 2008, we moved to Baltimore. My first 3 girls were born in Israel, and they and I have 7 children. They were born in Baltimore, and we always knew we were going to come back. And our plan was when our youngest graduates high school. But 2 things changed that outlook. First thing is, somebody mentioned to me once, if you're waiting for your children to get married or graduate high school, some of them will be married, and you're not going to want to leave. You may have grandchildren. It's going to be really, really hard to pull away and to leave everyone. I'm like, I didn't think about that. I wasn't really thinking like long term. I was just thinking, okay, let my kids just go through the school process here. We had very comfortable lives in Baltimore. And then COVID happens.
Wow.
And the borders shut. The borders closed. And it was like the switch went on. And it was a very big trigger for me. I'm second generation, like Holocaust survivors. My grandparents went through the Holocaust, and they couldn't get out. They were in work camps in Russia, running to Russia. It was like and something happened inside me where I'm like, they closed the borders. That means I can't get out of America. I don't want to necessarily be in America. I want to be in Israel. I want to be on the other side, not on this side. So we decided to speed up the process of moving to Eretz Yisrael. Now, we had children at that time. Between the ages of when we made Aliyah. My youngest was 8, and my oldest was 18.
Wow.
So what was the thought process? What was going through our mind? And this is the things I want to address, people's excuses. I know your last guest called them, what did she refer to it as? Reservations. I'm not as nice. Like, it's excuses. So I want to try to cover all the possible scenarios. First of all, if you're moving with younger children, it's so much easier. I'll just say that. You can move anywhere in the country, and your kids will go through the preschool programs. They'll learn the language. They won't even realize they're learning it, because the children, they're sponges. They soak it in. They will be fine. When you move with older children, it is a concern, and it is worrying from a parent's perspective. And then, how are our children's feelings about the move? Baruch Hashem, we've always talked about going back. They know my love, my husband's love of Eretz Yisrael. My first 3 kids, like I mentioned, were born here. So they always knew, like, that was our plan. So I don't think it shocked anyone. And then especially when I remember when Obama was elected president, I'm like, we're getting passports. Like, that was like our backup plan.
I did that with Biden.
So we got the passports ready. We had an escape plan. And then afterwards, when the borders closed during COVID, I was just like, we can't be here anymore. I cannot take this chance of being stuck on the side. And then also with the whole government control. And I know people say, it wasn't so much better here, but which side would you rather be on?
Right.
Which government would you rather be in control of you, the American one or the Israeli one? The Jewish one or the Goyish one? Even if you don't agree with their policies.
And we're going to be here at the end of days. So even if you don't agree with the policies, this is where we're supposed to be.
Right. Exactly. Regardless of the policies, where do you want to be? And especially with all that government control where It was crazy. I mean, I remember like I was going jogging one morning and it was clear. Nobody was in front of me. Nobody was behind me and across the street. There was a person walking or jogging. Nobody, again, in front or behind with a mask on. And like, I went to ask somebody a question. I'm like, what's with the mask? There's no, I get it. Like, I try to respect everybody's opinions and I'm like, well, what's with the mask? They're like, it's become a religion. You want to be a good citizen. And it reminded me of like communism. Like, you just want to like be a good citizen and have the government be so proud of you. No, that's not why we're here. We have a higher power to answer to. And COVID, the silver lining of COVID for us was it enabled my husband to bring his American job here to Israel. Before that, we renegotiated his contract at one point that he would work from home on Fridays just so we can get the hours in before Shabbos. And it was such a big deal that they allowed him to do that. So there was no way they were going to let him before COVID move here. But because of that, and everybody was working remotely, and it's actually cheaper for them to have people working remotely, they gave us permission to move here.
So many businesses have turned over Zoom, and you can do it online now since COVID. So
Right.
it's a blessing in disguise.
Right. So like that was one thing, Parnassa. People are concerned about Parnassa. So Baruch Hashem, my husband was able to move with his job. If people are now in America and they're thinking about what are they going to do, start looking into online jobs. Start looking for remote jobs. Every field that you're in, even nursing, doctors, they have teleconference, they have all these things. I think that there is a way to get a job in your field and be able to bring it here. And I was teaching for many years in America, and the last 6 years I had a successful play group in my house. I changed like my whole house into like not my whole house, but like a whole section of my house into a preschool. And Baruch Hashem, like I was very successful and very happy with it. So that was also another concern. What am I going to do? I don't speak the language. And I was, Baruch Hashem, able to get a teaching job here in Israel. They need English teachers. So if you're a teacher and...
But you need to know some Hebrew.
No.
How can you just teach English if all the kids don't speak English?
So, right.
You have to know.
So let me tell you about my experience. I seriously don't speak Hebrew.
Okay.
At least
like
not
my husband. My husband also says he doesn't, but he does.
Right. That's what my kids said. Oh, you're so good. I call it a bus conversational Hebrew. I'm good for 10 minutes on the bus, and then I'm done. Like,
but that's fine too.
It's really great if you're not working and you don't have to work, especially in the beginning. It's less stressful. That's also one of the things that I recommend is if you can make it here for at least a few months, 6 months, a year without working, it's the best thing for your children so that you're emotionally available to support them. So I think that's an important piece. If possible, if not, you're still going to be there for your kids no matter what.
Right.
So
how did you do the teaching job?
The first year was trial and error. It's my second year teaching English. The first year I decided I'm going to teach in an elementary school because that was really my preference. That was my experience. And Baruch Hashem, I had a co-teacher, an Israeli co-teacher, so she helped a lot with the classroom management and discipline, and I did more of the teaching. But I realized I can't communicate in regards to classroom management, so elementary school was not for me. At the same year, last year, I taught part-time in the elementary school and part-time in a boys' middle school. Like, what was I thinking? Like, I taught in a girls' elementary school. Like, even in America, I wouldn't teach boys' middle school. They, chewed me up and spit me out every day. Like, it was a disaster. It really wasn't good. But what was the chesed Hashem did for me? I learned the curriculum from 3rd grade all the way to 9th grade, which helped prepare me. One, I teach privately. So now I know the curriculum of where everyone is supposed to be. And then also it prepared me as well for where I need to teach, what's the best fit for me. So this year I'm teaching in a girls' high school, part-time, 9th and 10th grade. And I absolutely love it.
Wow.
It's only English in my class. They gave me the higher level girls, which is also a huge bracha because there's not as many behavioral issues in the higher level, and they're very motivated to learn. So that was also like a very big chesed that I teach in the 9th and 10th grade. And I love it. So it's very challenging not to be able to speak Hebrew. Like, my classroom is my domain. I'm happy there. The girls are learning and gaining so much. But in regards to like any type of meetings, I don't know what's going on, to be honest, and it's frustrating. I did Ulpan. I did everything that I could to learn the language, and it's sometimes embarrassing to say I've been here 4 years. and still don't speak it, but it's okay. I'm starting to embrace it. You know what? I told my principal in the beginning of the year, I don't speak Hebrew, only English, and it's the most negative attitude. Like, I'm probably not going to learn it, but like, just so that you know it, like, we're on the same page. And they're very happy that they have a native speaker to teach the girls English. And in the north, where I live, they love speaking English. They love practicing their English. So I joke, they're like, I'm just here to help them with their English. Like, I'm not here to learn Hebrew.
What is going on, guys? We will get right back to today's podcast. We just have a quick message for you. Many of you guys have been requesting that we make more of our merch and or swag available for you. And that's what we do here at Homebound. We listen to our viewers and our friends. You guys have Geula needs, and that is what we are here for. Therefore, we have been pumping out on our brand new shop. Awesome Geula-themed t-shirts, sweatshirts, and some other merch. You guys should be checking that out. You can go to Homeboundisrael.com. Check out our shop. It's on the front page. We also have a tab called Shop. We have got tons of awesome graphic clothing that we have been pumping out so that way you guys can better represent the Geula, Eretz Yisrael, the Jewish people, and of course, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This clothing is here so that way you can make a kiddush Hashem, the greatest one the world has ever seen, obviously. I would like to mention that our new online store is a little more geared to the American crowd, as the supplier is based in America. Therefore, if you're ordering from Eretz Yisrael, shipping might be a bit more expensive and processing times might take a bit more. If there's anything you specifically want, you can always email us at homeboundisrael@gmail.com. But wherever you are, please go check out the store. We have got such amazing stuff. You can check out our store at homeboundisrael.com. It will be on the front page along with a new tab on top called Shop. Check it out, get involved, represent, and do not forget, by buying our merchandise and wearing our swag, you are not only making a great Kiddush Hashem, but you are also supporting us here at Homebound to Eretz Yisrael, because all of the proceeds are going straight back into making a giant Kiddush Hashem, spreading the message, letting people know, inspiring people to come back to Eretz Yisrael, motivating people to get involved with building the Beis HaMikdash, bringing the Moshiach. Get involved. Chazak ve'ematz. Back to the program.
So
And they really do love
So how
speaking
did you go
English.
to Fula Elite as one of the pioneer families?
Okay, so
And is it a big American community today?
So when we decided to make Aliyah, I'll be honest, I only thought we were going to move to Ramat Beit Shemesh because that's what you do when you have kids of multiple ages, of an age range. And it was the tail end of COVID, and nobody gave us the time of day. Like, so many people were making Aliyah at that point. And I even have a friend that's a real estate agent. My husband knows somebody who's a real estate agent. We called. I tried to find the schools. Basically, the windows, the doors, everything was like closing. I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. Like, what are we going to do? That was a very big concern of ours. Where are we going to live? And then we saw like this little blurb, and I'm on like every chat, WhatsApp group, Facebook page about Aliyah. And I saw someone's trying to start a community with Anglos. And we decided to check it out. Alicia Brock from Nefesh Ben Nefesh at the time, he was working there, helped us. He was helping to organize this group. And all the boxes checked of what we were looking for. They were supposed to open up schools, which they did. And they found us apartments all together, brand new, gorgeous, a soft landing. So we're like, okay, you know what? This is the derech. This is the way we're supposed to go. And then once we decided we're going to move to Afula, it was like everything just opened, and now we're back on track. So we met with other families that were interested. We had a whole bunch of parliament meetings trying to get everybody involved.
This was a Baltimore crowd?
This is a Baltimore crowd.
Okay.
Yes, this is in Baltimore. And in the end, 17 families made Aliyah together as a group.
Wow.
Yeah. And we put our kids in their schools. It didn't work out the way we planned it, just because the schooling was more isolated and not integrated, and they really weren't part of an Israeli system. And after like almost 6 months of being here, and they couldn't even speak a sentence of Hebrew, I'm like, didn't feel right. So we took our kids out of the schools. And at that point, we had to decide, are we going to stay in Afula, or are we going to move anywhere? We were checking out all different communities at that point. We're like, we really love Afula. It offers so much. I call it the hidden gem. And it really reminds me of like the Israeli version of Baltimore. It's just so diverse and accepting, and such a mix of different types of people. And it's also like a lot of empty space, but they have the infrastructure of a city. It's very nice. Like, I love it. I can't say enough good things about Afula.
And it's affordable.
And it's affordable. Like half the price
Wow.
of the Merkaz, of Yerushalayim, Ramat Beit Shemesh, like more than half the price. So if anybody's thinking, how can I afford to move to Eretz Yisrael? There's not just Afula, there's Carmiel, Harish, and then there's Afula, which now we have over 50 English-speaking people like on our directory. And out of those, probably about 20 families that made Aliyah directly from America to Afula. A lot of people came from Yerushalayim or Ramat Beit Shemesh, different places. Rehovot, a family came from. It just reminds me that your last guest said that when they made Aliyah and she heard these stories about kids learning Hebrew between like Elul and Hanukkah, and she's like, "What? No, they do. You just can't have other English speakers in the school," and they really do learn the language. My children were the first Anglos in their school.
Wow.
There weren't any other English speakers. So I decided we're going to keep them in Afula, and we put them in the Israeli school system. Looking back, it affected some of our kids positively and some not as positive. They did get the language and the integration piece, but it was a little bit of a culture shock. We're Sephardi. We went to a Sephardi government, like what do you call it, a Misrad HaChinuch school, a Haredi school, and the culture is just very different than the American culture, obviously, but the boys are a little bit more rough and tumble. They're brothers, and it's like, and my boys weren't they weren't used to this rough and toughness, so it took them a while to get used to it. In regards to the language, my 14-year-old at the time, who was in 6th grade, he needs to talk. He loves to talk. He learned the language very quickly. He was going to figure it out. My son, who's now 16, going into 7th grade at the time, it took him longer. He's more reserved, quiet, sensitive kid, and it bothered him because the kids really wanted to help him so much, and he's like, he wants independence, and it was really coming from a place of love, but he took it as a place of like, you're treating me like I'm not smart. And then my oldest son, who's now 18, was going into 9th grade when we made Aliyah, and we actually just put him in a school in Ramat Beit Shemesh, Rabbi Waxman's, who is amazing. It's a smaller school. They only do Limdei Kodesh. My friend, actually from EAT, we reconnected, and her son was going there already for a year to Rabbi Waxman, so I felt very comfortable to send my son. And
he traveled back and forth, or
so on Shabbat, every Shabbat he comes back, and my son, who graduated 8th grade, we knew that he needed more of an Olim environment, so he also went to Rabbi Waxman, but it wasn't for him. He wanted more like Limdei Chol, a different experience. So we just now, this year, put him in this new yeshiva, Yesodei Yisrael. That's 2 choices you have that are English speaking. If you're worried about your kids, how they're going to fit in, you're automatically in. You have one that's a little bit more yeshivish, Limdei Kodesh, with an amazing Rav I've seen my son just grow so much. He owns his Yiddishkeit. He's so responsible. In America, they're so coddled. They would never go on a bus and travel by themselves. Everything was carpool and us taking them everywhere. I love this concept that they can just hop on a bus, and it just breeds so much independence and self-sufficiency. You don't get this in America. It's just amazing. And then my son, who's now in Yesodei, a little bit more complicated because this year there isn't a dorm. Next year, they're supposed to be. And Rabbi Cronenberg, who is the Rosh Hashiva, when we went in, my husband and I, with my son Abraham, went in to check it out. And the first thing Rabbi Cronenberg said to my son is, we're not trying to take the Baltimore out of you. You just be yourself.
Wow.
And I think we all just breathe like a breath of relief. He doesn't have to change. He doesn't have to fit into a box. Because this is, I think, was broken in the system of these Ramat Beit Shemesh people who moved here 20 years ago, and their kids never found their place. It's just what you hear. And I think this is where this whole off the derech comes from, I think, right? Because it's these American Israeli kids who grew up here that had a hard time finding their place. So when Rabbi Cronenberg is like, we're not trying to change you or have you fit in a box, you just be you. like, what are you waiting for in America? Like, you have these yeshivas. It's challenging, not challenging. Actually, it's not challenging for them to go back and forth. They love it. They said they love coming back to Afula on Friday because it just gets them out of their headspace. And in Afula, there's so much space. Talk about affordability. We have a 5-bedroom house, you saw it, with a guest house, a 1-bedroom guest house in the back, fruit trees. It's Gan Eden. It's stunning. Beautiful. It's beautiful. It's really special. And then my third son, the social chatterbox kid, so he actually started off in Israeli yeshiva, and then he decided he wants to also be with more olim. So he's now at Rabbi Waxman's with my other son, my oldest son. And Baruch Hashem, they're sorted. Yeah, it's a concern and it's a worry. But is that a reason not to make Aliyah? Should I have stayed in America because I'm worried about where they're going to go to school? My son, who is graduating 8th grade in Baltimore, well, where's he going to go to yeshiva? What if it's not a good fit? Like, right. There's problems and you have to fit in. Do you know how many people change yeshivas in America? Yeah. It happens. Wherever you go, the same issues. It's not an excuse. Right. My opinion.
It's such a new thing where they're opening up high schools now that don't speak Hebrew, that they're not focused on the Hebrew. They're just like, right. The child's well-being is more important. They'll learn the language when they choose to, when they want to, but to bring a 15-year-old, a 14-year-old, or whatever, put them into a school when they're already dealing with just the inner challenges of teenagehood, making Aliyah and all that, it's really just throws them off. So it's such a beautiful thing that it's such a new thing that.
And it took me time to realize that. Before, from America, I'm like, no, it's all about integration. Right. They have to learn the culture and the language and how are they going to function.
Their emotional well-being is way more.
Their emotional well-being is well more. And Rabbi Cronenberg
and then when that settles, everything else blossoms.
This is the whole philosophy in Yesodei Yisrael. Build them up.
Right.
Make them confident individuals. The language will come. It will.
Right.
It's like people like me that like I have a hard time struggling with languages, but you know what? I have a job. I have friends, and I still don't speak the language. You can make it here without speaking the language, and I live in the north. Like, if I can do it, you can do it. It's definitely possible.
I can tell you when we moved, my 6-year-old at that point, he really struggled moving here. You know, I mean, we had a hard adjustment. He missed his friends. He missed his school. Yeah. He was in an amazing school back in America, like a project-based learning. It wasn't so, you know. And I put him into school here. It did not do well. And I was just integration. He has to learn the language. Right. 'Cause that's what everyone told me.
That's right.
And then someone, I don't know who, someone told, or I don't know. I guess I heard this somewhere of like, drop the language. He'll learn the language whenever he chooses to. Now he's 11. It probably took him 5 years. He didn't speak.
Wow.
Didn't speak. Now he's fluent.
It happens.
He'll get it.
It happens. Yeah. They'll get it. They're going to be helping you with the language. They do. My kids help me all the time.
Now we have him make the phone calls.
Exactly. And also another point I want to make is when someone mentioned to me about not having your children follow you when you get here, that was something that we took into consideration. Where are our roots? Where do we want to plant those roots? So we really did uproot ourselves and replant here. The soil is the best. There's kedusha. And we've seen ourselves grow in our Yiddishkeit just by being in the country. And we're not just doing it for ourselves. It's for door of a door. It's generation to generation. We just changed the trajectory of our whole family. And it started with me and my husband. Would it have been easier for us to stay in America? Financially, yeah. And emotionally, it was really hard and challenging to move here. It for sure would have been easier. But we're not here in this world for an easy life. Sometimes we get confused, especially when we see what's going on in America with the Gashmias.
Right.
So my Rebbetzin used to say that, you know, we're here to get to Olam Haba. And along the way, we pick up as many mitzvahs as we can. But sometimes it's like an airplane ride when you're going first class and you forget where your destination is. And I feel like that's America. We forget our destination. And it used to be like, you know, you knock down your house and you build these mini mansions. And then we just had a neighbor of ours, daughter from seminary, come visit us in a full. And she's like, no, it's not mini mansions anymore. It's mansions. It's like full on, like do you really think when Moshiach comes, you're bringing a house with you? Is
People do.
Is that what they're telling you these days?
I've had conversations with people who came here to visit, and he was saying how he's building a massive house in Lakewood, and he knows that houses will fly here as long as it's a shul or something. So while he was building it, him and his son davened in his house. So he's gonna have to. So his house will fly here when Moshiach comes. Literally, those were his words. And I said, "And who's gonna pack for you?" He said, "Maybe we don't have to pack." And I'm like, I just
Right.
I didn't know how to continue the conversation. I was.
Right.
It's a chaval. It's really a chaval. And I think that with all of the excuses, yes, I do believe some people are unfortunately trapped in their situation, whether it's an elderly parent, a sick child. Not everyone can move here right away. But the fact is, everyone's always waiting until it's the right time. You know, when my kid is bar mitzvah, before he goes into high school, but then, you have another kid coming along. My kid is in a good speech therapist when he's done his therapy, when he's married. But then you're not leaving your grandchildren,
Exactly,
like you said.
Exactly.
It's
right.
It's never the right time, and as long as.
And people think also, like, as long as they're yearning, but you're still not here. Like, I yearn to clean my house every day. I yearn to go jogging every morning. But nothing's changed.
Right.
You can yearn as much as you want.
You need to take action.
You need to take action. What's your plan?
Right.
To wait for your child to graduate? That's just the holier something is, the stronger the Yetzer Hara. It's the Yetzer Hara telling you, wait. Just, you can do it. You really can do this. You can make this happen. I'm not here to convince anybody. Come, don't come. I'm just sharing my experience and my thoughts about Aliyah. My kids are always like, no, like you're too strong. And I don't give my opinion unless I'm asked. And you're asking me, so I'm going to give my opinion.
Go for it.
And I really think that I don't understand why more from Jews, right? And I'm coming from different perspectives here of, my past and my present and looking into the future. Why aren't from Yidden being the examples and moving here? Are you worried about the government? Well, guess what? The more from people that move here, the more of an influence we will have. I just don't understand. So I want to go through with you all the hesitations.
Wait, but I love the idea that 17 families, you said? 17 moved from Baltimore and started a community in a fully elite. You can do that.
Anybody can do that. Especially, I'm thinking like a Rav of a shul. You want to make Aliyah? Bring your kikila with you. By the way, we asked our Rav in Baltimore if we should make Aliyah, and he said no. And we said, we didn't ask it as a psak. We were very clear on, like, we just want your opinion, and, like, what do you think? And then we decided, like, okay, so this is something I want to say. Ask a Rav in Eretz Yisrael. Ask Rabbi Cronenberg, who has experience with children, with teens. Ask Rebbeim in Ramat Eshkol, who live in an Anglo place, an Anglo bubble, when they see kids being raised there. Ask people
who've done it.
Yeah, ask people who've done it. Don't ask your Rav who is still there.
Doesn't have plans to come.
He doesn't have plans to come.
Or when Moshiach comes.
When Moshiach comes, that's beautiful.
He can't guide you. He can't guide you with the challenges.
Right. You want to come, ask a Rav in Eretz Yisrael. Maybe your condition, someone's conditions, they'll still say, no, it's not the right time. But ask somebody from the perspective on this side who has the experience.
And I think with now Nefesh B'Nefesh, and there's Nava Kodesh, and there's, what's it called? Israela, where you can move with communities, right? And they'll have a madrich move with you and start a community. There's so many different avenues to take.
Let's talk about
just do it. Come bring your community.
Excuses, hesitations. So I think I covered Parnasa. I was able to get a job here without speaking the language. I have a friend, somebody in the community, she does sewing for the community. Somebody sells baked goods from their house. Somebody's working in a yeshiva kitchen. Somebody does cleaning. Whatever it is, there is job opportunities here. I do a lot of private teaching. I started doing chugim also in English. If you're an English teacher, there's so many options for you. And then in regards to online jobs, go explore your
And if
options.
I can say, it's not easy. It's not easy. And just still make it work.
Yeah, you can still make it work.
You don't have to have, the red carpet rolled out for you by the time you land, when you make Aliyah, when you land.
Right. And even
put in the effort,
people
put in the
are there
work.
to help you. The red carpet can be rolled out for you too. You just have to ask for help. People really want to help. So that's Parnasa, I think we covered. Kids going off the derech. I'd be more worried about kids going off the derech in America than kids going off the derech in Eretz Yisrael. What, do you think you're safer there in America? Would you want your kids hanging? Who are your kids?
But they know their surroundings. So I think it just makes them feel
What is that? Oh, the
more
parents
comfortable.
know their surroundings
Yeah.
or the kids?
The parents, they know their surroundings, so it makes them feel more comfortable. That at least if my kid goes off, at least I know where they're going, what they're doing.
Do they? You know what they're doing here too. They're living with you. And you can guide them. And there's Yiddishkeit everywhere around you. Just my drive up here, every place we went, there's Israeli flags. You just feel such a sense of pride being here. You see, we don't have a car. And when I go on the bus, and I've seen this happen many times, somebody will ask like a completely secular kid, hey, Manishma, how are you? And I'll be like, Baruch Hashem.
Wow.
A secular Jew who's unaffiliated in America is going to say Baruch Hashem, thank God, I'm okay.
Right.
Where do you want your children surrounded by? The shuls here, especially if you're not living in an all Haredi community, you see such diversity, and they're all going to shul. They're wearing tzitzis, they're wearing kippas. You feel it around you, and we're talking about a very big mix of Israelis. So where do you want your kids? Where do you want your kids to be?
And chances are, Chas v'shalom, they go off here, they do come back on much sooner, or at least they stay within the within the culture.
Absolutely. It's around you. All the holidays, doors closing, everything is around the Chagim and Shabbat. It's here. You don't see Goyish holidays here. It's beautiful. All our holidays coincide with the calendar, the school calendar. You're living a Jewish life here. Why aren't people coming here? I don't understand. I really have a hard time understanding. Baruch Hashem, I'm here. Like, I'm grateful. I'm accountable for myself, and everybody's accountable for themselves. And I just thank God every day that I'm here, literally.
And
Even
you
with our
moved with
hardships.
teenagers.
Moved with teenagers.
And some are married.
Some are married. Got married here. So
To Israelis. So
how did that happen?
how'd that happen?
Wow, that's another thing. You move with teenage girls or boys. Where is their shidduch gonna come from?
Right.
Comes from Hashem. What are we worried about? What are you worried about? Like, I wasn't worried about that. I know that Hashem's got our back. Like, literally, if Hashem could split the sea, why are we putting limits on what Hashem can do? You can only find your shidduch in America. We daven for girls that we know from. We daven that everybody should find their shidduch, but there's no guarantee because you're living in America, it's going to happen there. And I'll tell you the story about my girls. When we moved, when my oldest daughter was in Shana Bet, she was a madracha, which is a great opportunity when you move here and your kids are a little bit older, like past high school. Especially in Afula, it's not really conducive to older teens who are out of school because they don't have any social network. Beit Shemesh, maybe it's easier to find, but in Afula, I really recommend if you decide to move to a place that's outside of the Merkaz, to find a place for your children, older children, to get, like say Yerushalayim, to get a job and do like an apartment share with 6 other girls or 6 other boys, and this way they have a social piece. We can take care of the kids. There's ways around it to make Aliyah with older kids. But you have to take each child into consideration. Ask people, what do they do with their older kids? So my daughter continued, she was in Ma'or, Shana Aleph, and she was in Madracha Shana Bet. And my daughter under her was in Shana Aleph in a different seminary. So we moved here with them, and then we moved with the daughter in high school. Remember, my first 3 were born in Israel,
Right.
So now we're coming back. And
They spoke Hebrew.
No, nothing.
But they were born here. We
moved
very young.
Then when my oldest was 5.
Got it.
Or 6. They don't speak Hebrew. We moved here. They don't speak Hebrew.
And yet they married Israelis. So
Right. So not completely Israelis. They married Israeli Americans, but they grew up here. So when we left in 2008 is the year that my oldest daughter's family made Aliyah to Ramat Eshkol. For some reason, we weren't meant to be there at the same time, but we had to come back in order for them to meet. And my oldest daughter's shidduch was done in a more traditional way through a shadchan, and Baruch Hashem. They met, and it's the most wonderful Bal Chesed family in Ramat Eshkol. Like they're amazing family, and we're very close with them. Like it's a very special family. And then it was time for my daughter under her to go into Shidduchim. And this is 2 years after Sam. But coming from America, it's a little bit more open than the Israeli Americans even growing up here, because they either become more Israeli or they become like really like not in the system. So my daughter is looking for somebody in the system, but who is she going to find that's going to accept her now? But again, Hashem makes the shidduch. And it wasn't even through a shachan. It was through another family that made Aliyah to a fula with us. And her son was learning in a yeshiva, Rabbi Liff. And where is it? In Mapei Shemesh, I think. Yeah, it's in Mapei Shemesh. And he met this guy in the yeshiva, and he's like, my husband's from England, and he's like, he met this guy, and he's like, he sounds just like Solomon. He's like, the way he behaved, like, he's like, is there a Solomon girl available? And I'm good friends with this kid's mom. And we were talking about this boy, and we're like, okay, like, it sounds like, let's give it a go. And like, we did all the checking out. His family from Manchester, her husband's father is like this Talmid Chacham, like a special family. And again, Hashem knew who my daughter needed. And if anybody sees them together, like, they're the cutest, sweetest couple. Like, Hashem makes the shidduchim. Now we have my third daughter, who went to an all-Israeli high school. No other English speakers. Honestly, my kids, I call them alien celebrities when they went into their school. Like, nobody knew, like, they don't know America. They don't know Americans. A quick story is when my son, my sixth grader who started school, the Israeli school, he's like, why are Israelis always like looking down when they're talking to me? He couldn't understand it. And then he realized he's wearing like these bright red Nike sneakers, and we didn't understand the dress code. Everybody's wearing black sneakers. And then like, whatever, like we slowly got used to the system, but they didn't understand us, but they were like enthralled with the idea that we came from America. And they didn't even understand that you can be from America. The first time my son said, Al Natilas Yadayim, this one boy, instead of saying Amen, he, good. Like, they didn't understand. Like, just because we don't speak Hebrew, they felt like we knew nothing.
We've got asked many times, like, how do you make brachos? How do you daven? Like, and I'm like, I showed them my Tehillim. And I'm like, it's Hebrew. I know how to read Hebrew. I might not know how to speak.
Exactly. They couldn't understand the concept.
It.
So my daughter, Baruch Hashem, was with an amazing group of girls that totally took her under their wing.
Wow.
And one of her best friends, she would spend hours talking on the phone with her, and she also learned the language slowly but surely. And she would hang out with them. Again, she didn't speak the language at all. Yes, she could read a chumash. She could translate words, but she could not speak full sentences. But being hours on the phone with this friend and prepared her for her shidduch. Now, if we weren't in a fula, Hashem directs us where we need to go. I told you, I tried to get to Mapei Shemesh. We ended up in a fula. Why? One, I could see it now for our shidduch, for my girls. We had to go through and be there, and we're so happy we're there. So it's actually my son-in-law knows this guy from Ramat Eshkol. They know each other, and somehow we got into this conversation because they have some business dealings together. Like, he dabbles in real estate because this boy that my daughter's now engaged to, completely Israeli, doesn't speak English.
Wow. And how do you communicate?
So he came for Shabbos, and it happened to be my daughter and son-in-law, the one who is from, his parents are from England, but he's like really Israeli. I saw him come out of his shell. Like, they were schmoozing the whole time. And my daughter now is really fluent in Hebrew.
Wow.
And he understands. He grew up in Ramat Eshkol, so he's been exposed to it. So we communicated.
You'll figure out your relationship.
We figure it out. And he's a sweet guy. And my daughter's the one who has to spend her future with him, not me. Like, it's important that we have a nice relationship, but ultimately my daughter's the one who has to be happy. And I actually asked her before on my way here, I'm like, any words? Like, how are you doing this? Like, how do you feel about it? And she's like, she feels like Hashem prepared her for her husband by being here and only speaking Hebrew. That's what she needed. So, shidduchim, Baruch Hashem, check. and job, check. Rent. If you move outside of the Americas, it's so much cheaper, if that's a concern. Another thing I want to mention also is you have to come here and be flexible. You can't say, I'm only going to do it this way. Remember, I said we're only going to move from Beit Shemesh. I literally thought that. I have a friend that was also considering making Aliyah, and she was checking out all these other communities. I'm like, nope, only Ramat Beit Shemesh. Well, what was she checking out? She was checking out the ones I mentioned before: Carmiel, Harish, Yabniel, and Ashdod. I know people moving to Ashdod. I don't know. I know people who have moved there, but I don't really know so much about it. I know Afula, and I know it's developing, it's growing. It's really on the map. There's so many young Israeli families that are moving there. And honestly, a lot of these Israeli families, one or two of their parents are Olim. So they also speak English, even though they marry Israelis, they don't speak Hebrew. They're not speaking English at home, they're speaking Hebrew. But I randomly meet people and they'll just come out and start speaking English. I'm like, oh, wait, what? We can be friends, we can talk. It's a relief, in that sense. But there's a lot of young families moving from Beit Shemesh, from Yerushalayim, all the time. I'm constantly getting phone calls from people chutz la'aretz at least twice a week asking about Afula. It's a really nice place to raise a family. It's spiritually safe. There's no the kids in the schools. It's different than at least Baltimore. I don't know where other people come from, but children don't have smartphones. And it's a relief. You just tell your kids, sorry, no, it's against school policy. We're not having smartphones in America. It's a common thing to have smartphones. Actually, my daughter, the one in high school, mentioned to one of her teachers that the kids have smartphones. She's like, no. Maybe you mean your teachers. No, my daughter's like, no, they all have smartphones.
Wow. She
was shocked. The Israelis don't understand the concept of having a smartphone. And again, you can raise your family and obviously any which way you want, but the fact that this community exists in such a wholesome way, it's a beautiful place, a beautiful way to raise your family. And they go to the parks and there's a lot of green around there. My friend called me Erev Shabbos, this past one, the special tefillah for the children's prayer from Hashla.
Yeah.
She called me and she's like, let's go. We're going to Tiberia. We're going to go to the kever.
Wow.
And we went. We were there in 25 minutes. From Afula to Tiberia by car, 25 minutes. Haifa, the beach, 40 minutes away. It's a really great location. To Yerushalayim, without traffic, is an hour and 40 minutes. With traffic is 2 hours and up, depending on traffic, anywhere. So it's really a great location as well. I'm not trying to sell people a fool. I'm just telling you there's other options. This is what I know. So anyway, getting back to the flexibility, we ended up in Afula and not Ramat Beit Shemesh. That's what Hashem had in store for us and plan, but just go with the flow. You want to move to Ramat Beit Shemesh? There's a will. Then go for it. Do it. Start the Aliyah process. Fill out the paperwork. There's no consequence or repercussions for filling out the forms. Start the process. Talk about it with your children, about Eretz Yisrael. This is where the Jews belong. And
I would also say that when you're flexible, when you come here, you're a different person than who you were in America.
Totally.
If you just go with what Hashem is sending you, the signs, you will end up in places of whether it's jobs, whether it's your kids, in whichever area, you'll end up in places you'll never have dreamed that you can be.
Absolutely.
And it's...
Yeah. You can keep going with the flow and Hashem carries us wherever you are. Hashem is there. But when you start kind of going upstream against the tide and when you're doing the will of Hashem, I really feel like you get special protection. And I feel like that's what happened to not just me, but the other families that moved to Eretz Yisrael. Everybody finds a way to make it work. I have a friend that made Aliyah to Ramat Beit Shemesh, and she's a doula, and she's doing classes and online. It's you find your strengths, and there's an outlet. You just have to put yourself out there, and you have to try to make it work and daven. And Hashem wants you here.
Yeah.
But it's not going to make it easy. It's up to you. You have to take that first step. Just like when I was becoming you show Hashem that you're trying and Hashem opens it up for you. But you have to do your hishtadlus. It's not going to happen
Exactly.
It's not going to happen by itself. You actually have to make the effort. And it's smoke screens. In America, it's like these hoops of fire that you have to like go through to get here. And then you get here. You keep pursuing it and you get here. And then you look back and you're like, wait, what did I just, like, that was nothing. Like, not to say that you're not going to have your set of challenges, but it's like these obstacles that you have to go through to get here. And it's not easy. It's really not easy just to get here. And then I know you're worried about once you're here. But once you're here, you have people who are really willing to help. You just have to ask for the help. And people, they're here and they open up their arms. They welcome you.
There's definitely a big support system here.
There is a big support system here. And then also in regards to the community, because it's so new and growing, people ask me, oh, do we have this? Do we have that? Come here and create it. It's your initiative. That's what expands the community. It's there. It's waiting for you, especially if you're more of like a doer, a visionary. You come here to a fula specifically, because this is what I know. And the sky's the limit there. You can create any programming. Actually, there's somebody now in a fula elite that wants to open up an American kollel, and he's talking about it. And then if anybody's interested in finding out more information about a fula elite, about my boys' schools, the options, the schools in a fula, feel free to WhatsApp me. My number is 050-262-6804. Feel free to WhatsApp me, and thanks for having me.
Okay, amazing. Thank you for joining us, Torah. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. If you were inspired, share it with a friend. Check out our website, homeboundisrael.com. Like, subscribe, partner with us, and as always, chazak v'amatz. We'll see you in the next one.